guys, and thank you for tuning in. This is Sundays with Coach Shar. I am Shar, the business doula. I am so happy that you are joining me today for our chat. Oh my goodness, guys, I have to tell you that I'm so excited to have these Sunday conversations with you. Each and every Sunday, I plan on posting a video that you'll be able to go ahead and review that's geared towards personal development, but whether that's be, money, self-care, just a multitude of different things, all geared towards your personal development. So I'm super excited to be talking to you today about income, both low and high, doesn't mean poor money management, right? So before we get into that, I do want to take the time to introduce myself and tell you a little bit about me. I am originally from Chicago, Illinois. I have held a corporate position for quite some time, and then I stepped away and I went into full-time entrepreneurship. So within that, I did credit education and repair. I've also have a business in event planning. I do mobile bartending, and then I do what I do now, which is coach people who are looking to start a business or who are just looking to get on track. So this is truly a passion for me. I love helping other people. I love to see others win. I love to hear about the success stories and how they were able to conquer and just fulfill their dreams. So I'm super excited to have you guys here on today. Let's get kind of right into it, right? So income, right? So what is income? Income essentially is the money that we have coming in, right? And then with that may be low, that may be high, depending upon what you have coming in at the time. And then what our monthly expenses is and what we spend, subtracted from our income, is technically how we develop a budget, right? So I know a budget sounds all scary, but really a budget just tells your money where to go, so that on payday, you're not like, where did my money go? No, you should know where your money is going at all times. You should know where your money is going. Where is the money going? Okay, show me the money. So this kind of came about, I will say, kind of my journey, because when I tell you, it was a journey, okay? I have not always been the best with money. I haven't been the best with budgeting. Listen, I've come from very humble beginnings, trust and believe. It was a time where I did actually live in income-based housing. So I understand from the very foundational principles going up in how transitioning from one tax bracket to another tax bracket, and how that can be a little bit difficult, especially since we're not always necessarily equipped with the knowledge and knowing, okay, this is what I should be doing, or this is how I should be handling my money. So I want to make sure that I give you a little bit of insight on how you should maybe consider handling your money, okay? So one thing that I like to do is every month, I have a spreadsheet that I use, and I have all of my monthly expenses on there. So I know what's coming out, the due date, who it's going to, and I update that on a monthly basis. Now, for the most part, certain things do stay the same, but as I am paying off certain debt, I can kind of change the balance on it, and then maybe even hopefully get to a point where I see zero as the amount owed. So that's important to kind of have that visual of, okay, what am I paying out every month, right? So after you kind of come up with what your expenses are, then you kind of need to itemize it a little bit and figure out, okay, what's essential and what's debt. And then that way you can kind of have a breakdown in your head. So things that are considered essential or top priority are things like food, clothing, shelter. I say clothing, I use that loosely, more so your laundry service or dry cleaning service or something like that, because you need to keep your clothes clean. And then also too, maybe, occasionally you do need to buy some new clothes and get yourself together, but that's not going to be every month, essentially, right? But the upkeep of your clothes and the maintenance of your clothes is considered in that. And then other essentials like your cell phone, your life insurance, car insurance, things of that nature, right? So after you kind of have all of those things listed down, you also need to go over your income. What do you actually have coming in, right? So here's the thing, guys. At the end of the day, okay, if we have more going out than coming in, there's only really a couple ways to handle it. That means have less coming out or have more coming in, right? And so a lot of the times we don't necessarily have a way to get things coming in, but we can look at what we are sending out to try to modify that as much as possible. I know that this is very difficult because we do have those essentials, and then with the rising cost of everything, that's pretty hard, right? Especially coming from Chicago, where your rent is $800 to $1,000. That can be the majority of your money. I mean, if you look at it, if you're a person who doesn't make a lot of money, right? So that being said, let's just say an example here, right? So let's say you make $17 an hour. So $17 an hour, that means that your gross would be $27.20 a month, right? After your benefits and taxes, somewhere around 18%-ish, you're going to be about $22.30 left over a month. Now, the 70-30 rule simply states that you should not spend more than 70% of your income on your food, clothes, shelter, and essentials. And then the 30% of your income should be broken down into savings, investments, and tithes. Tithes should probably be first. Well, for those who that's important too. If you're not a person who does tithes or investments, you can always alter that to ensure that you are able to maybe either save more, or you can use that slot as extra payments on debt. Or you can modify that to be an 80-20, where you're doing 80% on your living expenses, and then 20%, 10 savings, 10 to tithes, or however you need to break that down. But those slots should be pretty set, right? So you should not be over the 70%, or you should not be over the 80%. And this is net. This is what you are actually bringing home, guys. This is not gross. I know they look at gross when you get approved, but we need to look at the net, because this is what we actually have in our hands, right? So after you do that breakdown and you figure out, okay, this is how far off I am. So when I break down, okay, my expenses, and I have my car note, I have my insurance, I have my rent. At $17 an hour, it's very easy to be over that $15.60 a month. Very easy. So how do we ensure that we're not going over that? One of the things that we can do is look at our other things that we have coming out. For example, one of the things that me and my husband did a while ago is we got rid of the traditional cell phone companies, right? Because the bill was like $2 something a month, sometimes $300 a month. That's a lot of money on a cell phone, right? So we went ahead and we got like a prepayment plan, which was with Metro PCS, and I pay like $120 a month for 4 lines. So one thing I know for sure is that $120 is going to stay constant. I don't have to worry about a surprise or something popping up. It's going to be that $120 in spite of. But that $120 is way better than $300. So that alone helped to save us quite a bit of money, right, on a monthly basis. Another thing that we looked into was maybe paying up some bills, right, when we got the opportunity. So tax time, especially, that's coming up right now. One of the things that we tend to pay up like on a yearly basis is our life insurance. We know that that's going to be something that we have to have, but we also know that premium is the same each and every month. So if I can go ahead and take out, $1,200 of my tax refund and pay up that takes away that $100 that's coming out of my monthly expense chart. So just some other things that you can do to try to lower that amount. Another thing that we do, in addition, when it comes to insurance, is we do pay up our car insurance as well. Usually you can only pay like at 6 months, but the rates kind of stay pretty much the same as long as you haven't had any accidents. So we just kind of plan for that, and kind of have that set to the side to pay when that 6 months come again. And those two things are kind of big monthly expenses. I mean, that comes out to maybe $250 a month, but now I'm able to like save that on a monthly basis because I've paid it up in advance. Some people, they like to maybe consider paying up their rent. I don't always necessarily recommend paying up your rent if you don't already have an established savings, okay? And so let's kind of talk about savings. Savings essentially should be equal to 3 to 6 months of your monthly expenses. This should be something that you have just like in case something happens and you need to be able to go into that to cover things. So 3 to 6 months is where you're actually trying to get to in your savings. Anything past that is absolutely great. Thumbs up. Awesome. But the goal is 3 to 6 months of monthly expenses and savings, which is why you want to be intentional about pulling that savings out when you're doing your breakdown of the 70-30 or the 80-20. Another thing that you want is an emergency fund. Emergency fund can just be $1,000 just in case something was to happen. Car issue, or you need tires or something comes up and you don't necessarily have that readily available. An emergency fund, perfect way to fund that. A lot of times, and this is kind of how we get into bad, I want to say credit behaviors, is that we don't have a savings or an emergency fund. So then we rely on credit cards and loans to cover us in these times. Now, credit cards, loans, they are great tools to use as leverage, especially when we need them. But they can kind of sneak up towards you because essentially now you have a monthly payment that's now added to that 70 or 80% of your expenses that you're looking at. So basically, it increases now your monthly payments that you have to make out. So be careful with that. Keep that in mind. So if you are using credit cards to kind of like, supplement, be very conscientious about that because typically you don't really want to charge on a credit card what you can't really pay back within that 30-day RAM. I get it. Sometimes things happen, so we have to, extend past that, and that's completely understandable. But if that's a habit of like having to use your credit cards to sustain or to fill in the gap, then later on that's going to create some problems, especially on the credit end when you're trying to do something like a large purchase of a home or a vehicle. So just be kind of conscientious of that, guys, okay? And then, so we have our savings, we have the emergency fund, and then let's talk about investments. There's a lot of things out here nowadays that people are wanting to invest into. Hot topics are real estate, cryptocurrency such as Bitcoin, and even just playing around the stock market. Well, maybe that's not your thing, maybe it is, but you do want to kind of have something set aside to be able to do that. Another thing too that I personally, for me, I love to invest in people. So if maybe a friend of mine is starting up a business or something and they're looking for capital, to be able to have some type of contract or written agreement with them and say, hey, I'll give you this towards this, and what's my return on investment? So don't think that investments have to be that stock or it's real estate or it's this or that. It can simply be investing into another small business owner or something of that sort. So with those things kind of in mind, you want to make sure that you're looking at this holistically and saying, okay, realistically, this is my budget. I can't spend over this amount. How can I get as close to this as possible? And again, even today, like people are doing a lot of supplementing for their income. I know right now really big is like Instacart and DoorDash and Uber Eats and Ubering and Lyft. And so people are doing this to kind of bridge the gap between what they have actually coming in and what's going out. So it's been helpful to help a lot of people. Some people have made a lot of money to where they've made that their primary source of income. So, I mean, anything is possible. But what's most important, especially right now, is to determine, okay, one, what is your money goal? What is it that you're trying to accomplish with your money? And then two, what is the plan to get there? And we can't do that with the idea of the bills are going to pay themselves and we'll see what we got left over when we get through. That's not going to work. We have to have a plan to tell our money where to go. So even if you don't make a lot of money, or if you do make a lot of money, you still need a budget, because your money needs to know where it needs to go. And you need to know where it needs to go and where it's going. So, or has gone to, because that seems to be kind of the thing. So just think about that, guys. I know that was a lot of information and a lot of things kind of weighing heavy, but I want to give you a little bit of homework. I know, first night in this homework already. Yes. Your homework is to write down all of your monthly expenses. I mean, all of them. I'm talking Netflix. I'm talking DoorDash. I'm talking Instacart. I'm talking all of it. Write it all down and how much you're paying, because you need to know realistically, what am I spending my money on? Okay. After you have that number, look at your income. What do you have coming in? And once you kind of subtract the two, hopefully we're in the green. Hopefully. But I have a feeling that if we really look at things, it's probably leaning towards, okay, wait, I need to cut back in some areas. Or even if it's not, I need to cut back in some areas, it's going to be, oh, I didn't know I was spending that much money. I could probably be using that towards something else. So always, always, always know what your expenses are and what you have coming in. So that's going to be your homework, to kind of start to establish that. And then hopefully next week when we join each other again, you'll be able to tell me about how, hey, I see it. I've seen the light, Shar, and look, coach, I need to come up with a plan. So to kind of help with that, I am going to go ahead and link a couple of different budget sheets in the description below, so that you can be able to have access to that. And I'll also kind of link another video and a few other essentials that I kind of use in my resources to help me. Sorry, whole blank. But one of the main financial people that I follow is David Ramsey. Amazing, 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 but very real. Okay, he's like, in your business, he's gonna tell you the truth, and it will humble you. It will make you realize that, hey, this is really something that I need to get more serious about. So we are still in the very beginning of 2022. There is no time like the present to start budgeting and to improve your money management skills. Okay. So I want to thank you all for tuning in. Please be sure to like and subscribe so that you can get the notifications when new videos are up. If you like this video and want to see more content like it, feel free to comment below. But it has been great having this chat with you, and I look forward to having many more in the future. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Shar_the business doula. And I look forward to meeting with you guys again. Take care.